Okay, so this is supposed to be good news, especially if you're a fan of the Star Fox franchise. I happen to be a fan of the Star Fox franchise since the very first game on the Super Nintendo. And then, of course, Star Fox 64 on the Nintendo 64. Now, some of the games after that haven't been the greatest. I was a fan of Star Fox Command on the DS. I was pretty disappointed with the most recent game we got for the Wii U. But nonetheless, we have a Star Fox remake. And surprise, surprise, guys, it's a remake of Star Fox 64 yet again, which is cool because Star Fox 64 is widely considered the best in the franchise. You ask somebody what their favorite Star Fox game is, 9 times out of 10, it's probably going to be Star Fox 64. So I guess if you were to do a remake of a game, you would do Star Fox 64, except, well, for one, we've already had a remake of Star Fox 64. This is not the first time that this has happened. Nintendo did the same thing with the Nintendo 3DS. Now, I will bear in mind the visual fidelity of the new game in comparison to like classic Star Fox 64 is actually like really good. I mean, the graphics definitely are on the higher end for the Switch 2. They do have a lot of cool features. They add all kinds of new cutscenes and a lot more voice dialogue and stuff like that. But I wanted to talk about this because, and of course, they added some other features like you can use the mouse mode, and they added some kind of like new face cam thing where you can use like AI features to look like one of the Star Fox characters while talking in the game chat, and all kinds of interesting little things like that. But it's Star Fox 64 at the same time, which is a fantastic game. Like I said, the best in the Star Fox franchise, but it's literally the same game. They have new cutscenes, guys. New cutscenes, which is cool. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to appreciate the hell out of new cutscenes. That's going to be awesome. But there's not new levels. There's not new gameplay. There's not new planets. There's no actual new game content for this. Now, given the level of work that they would have to do to remake Star Fox 64, why didn't they just make a new Star Fox game? Why didn't they put this effort towards maybe like changing up the version we had for the Wii U, bumping up the graphics for that, changing it up to where you don't need the dual screen stuff of that version of the game, addressing those complaints that it had. Why not that? Why not do like I think would be an absolutely brilliant idea for the Star Fox franchise? I think it is a franchise that would be ideal for Nintendo to do this for because they don't really have any games like this, but a roguelike Star Fox game where we would have all of the familiar locations from the previous games, but obviously bumped up to nowadays visual technology, but have it be a roguelike, a game where you can actually get like virtually infinite replay value out of. Like you would have different missions that you can do on these planets, see some different locations that we've never seen before instead of seeing the same exact locations, but them, just being visually bumped up. Being able to upgrade your R wings, get different like loadouts, be able to change the wing designs, the weapons, do all kinds of cool things like paint jobs and stuff like that. Maybe change out your team instead of just playing as Star Fox and then having Falco, Peppy, and Slippy. Be able to change out the the teams, because there's all kinds of other characters in the franchise that we could play as. Be able to do like a 4-player co-op that you can run through this roguelike campaign, go through increasingly harder challenges, having like actual like randomization to where you're not just repeating the same mission with the same exact patterns and trying to get a little bit better score and be able to play the game for like a couple of weeks or so trying to, and then you get bored of it, because there's like nothing else to do and you already played this game several freaking times. Why not something like that? Why not, instead of like, I mean, it looks like there might be some difference with the online stuff, but I mean, it probably, I mean, given that they're just using the same content of the campaign, they're probably going to be using the same content for the online multiplayer dogfights as well, and it's going to burn out. Like, I appreciate it from the perspective of somebody that enjoys Star Fox 64 a lot, and it's one of my favorite Nintendo 64 games. It is my favorite game in the franchise. This is weaponizing nostalgia against us. And then the newer gamers, the gamers that have a different kind of experience with video games, they're going to be like, this is it? This is all there is in the game? Like, you're always playing through the same levels? And then, okay, you can get like a better score, maybe take some different paths and stuff like that. Um, oh, I can beat the game in like 2 hours. Like that's it. And it's Nintendo. They're gonna be charging like um an actual like sum of money, like an actual like 70, $80 potentially for a physical copy. I'm not sure if they're even doing a physical copy. Let's see if I go to pre-order Starfox. Let's see if there is like any way to pre-order that. There probably is an eShop pre-order right now. Okay, here's a Starfox Switch 2 box art price revealed official announcement. Let's see what we got. This is from Nintendo Everything. So it's going to be a $60 physical. Well, actually, they're just saying expect it to be, so they don't even know. There's the box art there. And it's just titled Star Fox. It's not even titled Star Fox 64. So I guess screw the original Star Fox. Such disrespect on that. Why not just call it Star Fox 64? If we know that's the game it's based on, you might as well just call it Star Fox 64. If you're just going to make it a remake of Star Fox 64. I don't know. That's the way I look at it. And they kind of go into it, like all the stuff. Like, there is a lot of cool new things they're adding. Okay, so the online does have 4v4 dogfights, so now we've got 8-player, and we've got the game chat as well. So that's kind of cool, I guess. But it is so bare bones of a package that they're charging this much for this. It's just wild. Like, we complain about like when they remake movies and that kind of stuff, but at least there are different movies at the end of the day. The movies themselves are different, if you know what I mean. Like, there are different experiences. This is the same game, and they're just prettying it up basically for, I guess a modern audience that, are they going to actually show up to this? Are they actually going to show up to this? I mean, you tell me, like, maybe they will. And then maybe they'll enjoy the game. They probably will, because it's a very high quality product. It's very, as Ed McDonald's CEO would say, it's a good product. It's a good product. It's a good game, obviously. Very good. Very excellent. But this is also arguably one of the laziest efforts Nintendo has ever done. Like, we deserve better, guys. We really do deserve better. And the thing that sucks is, if you don't buy it, if you don't support it, this could be the last Star Fox game we ever see at the same time. Nintendo is definitely putting in the effort. You even had Shigeru Miyamoto himself showing up to the direct for this, which he doesn't do that very often for these directs. He's been a huge proponent of Star Fox, which is kind of unusual, because if you don't remember, the original Star Fox wasn't developed by Nintendo. It was developed by Argonaut Software, and they put out the original Star Fox. And then they were making a Star Fox 2 for the Super Nintendo, which you all know the story of that getting canceled and all this good stuff. I think they could have easily put out Star Fox 2 and released that for the Super Nintendo. That would have been a great swan song for the Super Nintendo because, like, they canceled it even though the N64 was still a year away and the game was almost finished, which was kind of wild. Why not just release it, especially since they were still releasing Donkey Kong Country 3, Super Mario RPG during that same year that the N64 came out. So obviously they were still supporting the Super Nintendo at this point. But I digress. I digress. And then, like it's so weird. Like the fascination um, that Miyamoto has with Star Fox. And then like he was so involved with the Wii U game and it was so disappointing. Like I can't get over it, like all the weird design choices and there were ones that he pushed for and you figure cuz he's like one of the most legendary game developers of all time and that he would have the finger on the pulse of what people want. And that was not what that game was not what people wanted. It absolutely wasn't. So I guess we're back to the drawing board because Nintendo cannot make an actual good new Star Fox game. So we got to remake Star Fox 64 for the second time because we already remade it before for the 3DS. Absolutely weaponizes our nostalgia. And this game will probably sell. How well will it sell that's a good question because like I said, gamers nowadays, they have very different experiences to gamers from back then. And I think for a game this short at a $60 or $50 price point or whatever they're saying it's going to be, that is a hard sell. It really is. It wasn't back then because obviously one N64 games were expensive back then. So and then two, it did come with the Rumble Pack. Like if you remember, that was like a accessory that was bundled with Star Fox 64. Well, I guess at least you don't have to worry about optional Rumble Packs because the Switch 2 controllers all have that stuff built in now. They did say you can use the N64 controller, which was kind of interesting. And then, like I said, it does support the mouse mode. They have this mode where you can have one person using one Joy-Con to pilot, one to use the mouse for gunning. So that's kind of interesting. There are a lot of interesting little tweaks that they made to it in addition to the visual fidelity, adding the cutscenes and stuff like that. But it's just disappointing that the game itself is just the game we've already played. We're not getting any new levels. We're not getting any new missions. We're not getting anything extra really like that. They're adding new challenges and whatever, but that's kind of irrelevant too because we don't have an achievement system on the Switch 2. I mean, it's just in that game. So if you want to be like, oh, I did this in Star Fox for the Switch 2, you have to actually go in the game. You have to get the screenshot of what you accomplished or whatever to show that off. People can't just look at it at a glance on your profile. I don't know. It's so weird. I don't want to be that kind of person that hates on this kind of stuff because it is cool to see Star Fox return. But I had much higher hopes. I was hoping they would have put out a brand new game or did a revamp of the Wii U game or something like that. I wasn't expecting them to just remake Star Fox 64 again, which, by the way, you could just play that on the Switch online if you want to play Star Fox. It looks fine. This is completely unnecessary. And after we get done fangirling it out, we just need to come to terms with that, guys and girls and furries, I guess, too, because it is Star Fox after all. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to check out the most recent video that I did right above my head, of course. And then in the other corner, the algorithm's going to recommend something that I hope is fire for you. Please check it out. And don't forget to subscribe on the lower left-hand corner. But that's going to be the last line.